Welcome to Phil Wilson Chats with Celebrities. And here's your host, Phil Wilson.
Janet Devlin has just released the explosive country rock album Emotional Rodeo via OK Good Records, followed by the heart-rending single Best Life. After soaring to number 4 on the iTunes country charts earlier this year and earning a top spot on National Radio's playlist with the motive single Red Flag, Janet goes from strength to strength. And Janet joins me now. How are you doing? Joins us now. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for blowing smoke there. I really appreciate it.
Yes, no problem at all. It's just a privilege to have you on the show because as soon as I heard Red Flag earlier this year, I just couldn't believe it. And I thought, I recognise that voice from somewhere. And in my mind, I thought that lady appeared on the X Factor, and I think Simon Cowell rather liked you on the show. Now, was it your idea to apply for the show?
Do you know what? It wasn't. No, like my entry into singing was a bit backward. I was started off as a drummer. I did singing competitions to get money from a drum kit, and the singing competitions led to a mate buying a video camera. Me posting on YouTube, getting about 20,000 followers in around 2010, which is mental.
Wow, amazing that is.
Well, I was too busy with my GCSEs to think about that. And and then my mum said, oh, sure, take that video that's doing well, that your song, because X Factor are doing video auditions. So why don't you send that in? So I did. She's like, you've nothing to lose. And then, it just kind of, I kept getting to the next bit and the next bit. And the next thing you know, then you're on national television.
It's just absolutely amazing, and you did very well as well. And we'll talk about that in a moment from now. Now, you know, with regards to your music, your styling has completely changed, and I think you're at the perfect point in your career with the styling that you've got going on now. Was that your idea?
The styling, do you mean the album or the clothes?
Well, just everything.
Well, I mean, everything's different. Yeah, no, that's true. Well, everything just kind of, you know, I've wanted to make a country album since I was a kid.
Right.
And that just didn't seem feasible. But then whenever I got my foot in the door through the TV and then going and making my own music, you know, it's been over 10 years where I've said I'm gonna end up doing country music. Because I was just like, you know, you're young, because I got in young. So I was like, yeah, play around the sound and all this. And then, you know, before you're 30, like, we'll get into country. And, lockdown pushed me back a bit. And,
I bet.
I was almost there. My birthday was on Tuesday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. And then the album came out on that Friday. And I was like, I was so close to doing it before I was 30, but 30 will do. So, that was natural. And then the plus side of country music is like, not only have I been listening to shit my whole life, you know, it always, you know, since I used to be a competitive show jumper, and when I wasn't on the horse before I was competing, I had these like ruggedy old cowboy boots that I'd wear so that I didn't dirty my good boots. And styling wise, I guess, clothing wise, it's all stuff I already wear, you know, and a lot of it is functional, because like the thing about cowboy boots is it's great because I can go from the studio to the horses and I can go ride and then go back home, you know. It's handy. So it's been nice. And then obviously the album cover is me rearing on a horse, which it tickles me when people are like, oh, that's amazing AI, and I'm like, hey, I did it, you know. So it's been fun combining like my upbringing of just country living and the music, you know, that it all just makes sense.
I love the cover as well. Everyone will have to get a look at that cover. It looks fabulous. Now, going back to the X Factor, how did it feel going through and performing live in front of millions across the nation?
Luckily, right, for us, like there's about 400, 500 people in that studio. And I didn't really think about the people at home. Not in a mean way. It's just like, I was like, I've got to perform. And, you know, the wee red lights come on the cameras, so you know which
That's
one.
right.
So you've kind of got enough on your mind to kind of focus. But obviously, as people know, I was so nervous every single time. It didn't go away. I still get really nervous.
But that's good though. The nerves is actually means that you're alive. It means that you're still enjoying it.
Yeah, I still care about it every gig. But like it's much more manageable now. I know how to deal with it. But in those days I very much didn't. Every time I was just piling on as tightly as I could to just make it through every song, and
yes.
Yeah, luckily with the red light and then the crowd in the room, it was very easy to forget about people at home, like how many people were watching.
Yes. And why was it based on the South Bank of the Thames? Was it in the London Weekend Television Studios? Whereabouts were you?
No, this was Simon's. It was Fountain Studios, and it was out in Wimbledon.
Oh, right. Okay. Yes, Fountain Studios. Yes, I've heard of them because I think a lot of people thought that it was actually coming from the South Bank Studios, but not.
No, you'd go in there on like your Sunday or Monday morning for the breakfast shows. But no, it was in the central London where everything's pumping, and no, we were in Wimbledon.
Excellent.
Wimbledon. Nothing wrong with it. I have a very soft place in my heart for Wimbledon. Love you guys.
Yes,
I don't mean it like that.
No, we know what you mean. Yes, yes, a wonderful studio there, Fountain Studios. I wonder if he's still got it.
Have I still got?
Has he still got Fountain Studios?
I have no idea.
Oh, right. That would be interesting.
A friend of mine competed a few years ago when I sat there when it was still on. And it was a whole new Fandangle studio. I think it was out by Acton.
Oh, so, right. Yes.
I have no memory, but I just know it was a different studio. But he might still own it.
He might still own it. Yes, the one in Acton there. I know that's been there for a hell of a long time. So, continuing on with your musical journey, obviously with the X Factor there, you managed to secure a fabulous 5th place in the X Factor in 2011, which was a mammoth achievement. After the show, what happened to Janet Devlin?
Basically, got offered a few big deals, turned them all down because they just wanted me to sing other people's songs, and
right.
I had no pride in the situation. Like, I didn't mind going and singing in cruise ships and Butlins and all this to earn money.
Yeah.
I had no problem with that. But with my first album, I wanted to write it and find out whether or not I was good enough as a songwriter to pursue that, or I should just be a cover artist, which there's no shame in the game in, you know what I mean?
No.
But now I've did my first album and it did all right, considering, and I think a lot of people forget that you go from a platform that has millions on millions of millions of marketing spend to put you at the forefront of everybody's brain.
That's right, yes.
And you don't have that after. And you definitely don't have that if you didn't sign that big deal, which I didn't. So I did everything independently. I still am. I'm working with an independent label now in America who's been working with me since 2014. And it's very family vibes, it's still humble budget, but we're like a little team and there's not a lot of us, but we're plowing on and we're, having our wins and our victories. And it feels amazing. Like after about, 13 years of making music now that things seem to be taking off and doing something, which is insane.
And it's amazing. It's amazing. And obviously, with you being focused on, being independent, a lot of people, I would say, that would have signed them big contracts, and a lot of the money that you think you're getting in your pocket is actually going to promoting and such like, and printing CDs and things like that.
Yeah, people don't understand that, when you get your advance, right? So if you get an advance and it's £500,000, it's like, ooh, wow, that's amazing. No, that £500,000 goes on to your label debt that you have to pay back. So it's like if you spent another $1 million on making and distributing and ads and this, that, and the other, you're never going to own that music.
No,
unless you become like Ed Sheeran or Celine Dion,
That's right. Yes.
That music doesn't belong to you at all. You don't make any money from it, and through doing it independent now, like I own all of my stuff now. Obviously, apart from this album, but obviously the hope is that enough people buy it, like the last ones, that I can then start seeing a profit when somebody buys it. So.
Yeah, but I think it's the best place, the best decision that you made, doing everything independently. Because some people who may have signed on the dotted line may not be around now. They may have had that bite of the cherry, but maybe you've had all of the experience all over the time, in order to work on your craft, as it were.
Well, it's a weird time to be alive now, because most people are wanting to do it independent or doing it independent. People who have
Yes.
been on big majors, and I've over 10 years experience in how to release music independently, and I didn't think that would ever be a thing that people cared about, but now it is. And I do try my best to help anyone out who's trying to release independently for the first time. I do give access to all my Black Book contacts, this, that, and the other, and
right,
just
cool.
talk them through it, because I know what can be daunting. Like, you know.
That's excellent. Yes, giving other people a bit of a helping hand. That's really good of you there. Now, in 2023, amidst the whirlwind of touring alongside Russell Crowe and his band across Australia and Europe, what was the tour like, and how was your music received?
Well, yeah, the tour was amazing. I'd done a few shows. I did 2 shows in that January of 23. I did the Mountain Cough Harbour near where Russell's farm is, and I went out and I stayed there with him on his ranch, essentially. And
amazing.
Got to meet his wee mummy, who is an absolute blessing. She's so lovely. And got to ride his horses around the Australian bush, which is also mental.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah, right. And then I thought that was the end of that. Right, what a fairy tale. 2 shows in Australia, what a time to be alive. A couple of months later, it's like, do you want to go on a tour? It's like, a month and a half in Australia. I'm like, yeah, of course.
Wow.
Because I'd always wanted to see Australia, and when I flew in to do those gigs, it was fly in, fly out, the schedules permitting and stuff. And, I basically moved everything just so that I could just go out on this tour. So I was like, I'm never going to get an experience like that. And you know what? It was great. And thanks to his generosity and his kindness, he gave me the experience of a lifetime, and I'm forever grateful. And you know what? It's nice being a support act, because it's like, I joke with the audience, get to wind them up, try and get them excited and clapping and singing and whatnot. And the joke is always like, if you don't like me, it's all good, because guess who's up next? The one you paid for.
Wow.
So it was deadly, and I had the best time just, seeing the country, playing my songs. And you know what? The songs were done really well. It was actually getting annoying, because people were coming up going like, oh, when's that daddy song coming out, or that emotional Rodeo song? And I'm like, it's not out yet. I'm going to that after this trip. I'm going to go record it. So that was the only frustrating part.
Hey, but the album it's absolutely amazing. I mean, you've certainly landed on your feet now, and I think definitely the time is for Janet Devlin to make a mark. Your musical style certainly fits in with the country scene, and I hear that you've been recording at Martina McBride's Blackbird Studios in Nashville with esteemed producer Rue Walker. What has the experience been like recording in one of the best studios if not the best studio in Nashville?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Martina. Concrete Angel, that song has a special place in my heart. I love it. But no, actually going out there, because I went out in that January, the road test, I went there, and I wanted to come back, because it's an insane studio. And John McBride, who owns it, he's the second largest collection of microphones in the United States. Only second behind the Scientologists. I don't know why that's a thing.
I don't know what that's all about.
Microphones, but at least John's makes sense. He loves gear, and he loves microphones, and he has everything.
That's right.
Whereas
Yes.
Why do they need so many mics? But anyway, the musicians, when I was looking at the stuff they played on, they've played on pretty much every one of my Heroes albums, and I just couldn't believe that they were going to be playing on mine. And not only that, but they were the loveliest, funniest dudes, and we had a ball. I just released the Red Flag music video, and there's lots of snippets of the Nashville and the whole making of the album, and there's a lot of laughs we had this whole process.
Excellent. And what was your schedule like when you were over there? Was it quite relaxed, the studio, or was it, or was it you've got to get stuff the track's done in a certain time?
No, it's not relaxed at all. I had one morning off before the day before the studio, and I had a mission to just go up and down the strip and to find myself a pair of cowboy boots that I could actually afford.
Right.
So that was the only mission I had, and I did that.
Right. Yeah.
And beyond that, we had the studio booked for 5 days. We did 21 songs in 2.5 days for the full band.
Amazing.
Yeah, and then the rest was just like fairy dust and stuff. And I had told the label, like, don't expect me to sing all these songs in Nashville, but we still booked the vocal burst. So I think only about half of them ended up being used. But like that was because I had like 21 songs. Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
so
yes.
I think I did all right. But yeah, the band itself, they were into it for 2.5 days. So it was like song after song after song, pretty much.
That's just absolutely amazing that you've produced the album in such little time.
I know. Well, I went back then to the UK to like one, fix some of the vocals, and then two, get like my mates involved. There's a lot of my friends like either playing or doing BVs or shouting on this album. My manager is shouting on this album. There's a few shouty BVs that he's got involved in as well. And like that was the great part, like getting people that I've been mates with for donkey's years involved as well. So I had to get theirs down and, like refine everything I got from Nashville to the point that then I could put it out.
Yes. And we're ready to hear it soon as well. Well, we're ready to hear it now because it's out now. Now, what inspired you to go down the country route? As I mentioned, it is a great move for you. And actually, when I listened to the album, this is honest truth. When I listened to the album just before speaking to you today, I actually closed my eyes for a moment and I actually could hear a little bit of Dolly Parton in there when she was your age, probably.
I've heard that now a few times, and
that's honest truth. I was actually something came over as I had my eyes closed, and all of a sudden I thought, my goodness, that could be Dolly Parton.
Oh, it's like, honestly, I love her to pieces. It's one of the biggest compliments you can get. Like, but this album has been in the works mentally for over 10 years. I've always wanted to do country. It's always made sense. Country is the biggest genre in Ireland, music-wise, and I'm from a county that they call Farmers County, which is so, like, when my mum was a teen and they'd go to the dances to go courting, and they'd have country music singers there. It's still a thing. Farmers sing with their wives at the dances,
Wow.
So, yeah, and if you go into any shop, like a convenience store or anything like that, it's all country music. It's everywhere, So I just thought everybody listened to as much country as we did. And then I moved to England and I'm like, what do you mean you've never heard of Hal Ketchum? What are you talking about? Small town Saturday night? No? What are you talking about? Nobody. But it's always been a love of mine. And then I think about 2014, 2015, I don't know what notion it took. I found this band called the Steel Drivers, which are a bluegrass band. Now, loved them, fell in love with them, and kept listening to them. And that lead singer then went on to be Chris Stapleton.
Wow, amazing.
He's one of the biggest voices in the country. And that transition, even before Chris came out in his solo stuff, I think I was like, oh, I missed this. Because I kind of tie bluegrass and country in the same thing. I know you probably shouldn't, but like, I don't care. I love them both equally, you know what I mean? So like, I then pursued like modern country. I was like, oh, like this is, people still make new music, and I discovered so many great acts and so much great music, and I discovered that the genre is 10 miles wide. You got like heavy rock, almost metal, all the way to swamp rock, to dad rock, to acoustic singer-songwriter. Like there's so much in it that I was like, I still think I should make this country album. I'm going to do it, And it just makes sense because it's a genre that I'd never get sick of.
Because you were born in Gorton in County Tyrone. So were you surrounded by like you say, when you were growing up, were you surrounded by the country? Were you from a musical family?
Oh yeah, well, sure, everybody in Ireland is musical, If you can't sing, you can play something, That's definitely the case for my family. Like apparently my great grandfather was a really good singer. where I get my lilt from, which people always bring
right.
up. Yeah, he had apparently the exact same one, and was also fond of country music. My brother is a better country singer than I am. He's got like a Gareth Brooksy style voice, and
Right.
it's mental, big, deep, low country voice.
Yeah.
And I'm sometime I'm going to get him to sing on one of my albums, like, because it's a shame that voice isn't reaching more people. Like, so I'm not even the best singer in my household, let alone, anything else. But, I just always wanted to do it, and it just makes sense because I love it so much that I'll never get sick of it. I'm 30 now. That's 30 years of listening to it, and I'm still not bored. So, it makes more sense to me than pop because I like pop music, I do, and I enjoy listening to it. But it's not necessarily the thing I'm putting on in the car. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, you're at the right time because all the country there. I spoke to somebody in 2023, the first country artist that I'd actually interviewed, and I couldn't believe it. And, because she said, oh, yeah, the country's coming over. And then the next thing, you know what? Country is everywhere. It's even being played on radio stations that you wouldn't normally hear country music on.
I know. And you know what? When I released my first country song in 21, people were like, "Oh, country music is your head top," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"You're not going to like the album, bro." But I've been saying for like over 10 years that I'm going to do it, and every time, like, either people I work with or like people that follow me are like, "Oh, if you do country music, I'm going," and I'm like, "Well, I'm going to be saying see you later at some point."
That's right.
But things got pushed back naturally with like the world shutting down and all that kind of stuff. But it's all good. We made it anyway.
You certainly have. Now, where did you get the inspiration from for writing this album?
It's just my life. It's just my life, and like the last album was really deep and heavy, and it talked about all the things I've been through, and it would be a sad story if I didn't make it out the other end.
Yes,
and
of course.
with setting all that stuff free, like, because my TikTok started blowing up during lockdown, and I had multiple viral videos. And was it for music? No, it was never for music. No, it was me being a silly goose on the internet and just speaking straight from my head, no filter, and just making myself giggle. And that was the truest version. That is the truest version of me. I'm not a very serious person. Like, I'm emotional. I will say that. But that's because I've got a condition called borderline. But like, as a person, I'm very silly. And what was nice was the freedom, and for the first time ever, people getting to hear that jokey side of me that they'd only know if they followed me on TikTok. Where it's like, that is a big pillar stone of who I am. And it's nice that, there are the ballads on there. I did go through a really intense breakup and all of that's there. But also, you have me singing about being a catfish at the weekends with my wigs and my fake hair and my fake boobs. It's balance, balance,
Yes. But it's nice that you're able to represent yourself, You can wear your heart on your sleeve on one album. And this album, I recently actually featured your brand new album on my breakfast show. And I absolutely love the tracks Best in You, obviously Red Flag, Emotional Rodeo, and The Problem Is Me, to name but a few. Now, what song are you most proud of, and what would be your go-to track from the album if you wanted to play me a song now?
Oh gosh, it's hard. I usually play the people that are on the fence about country. I usually play them, maybe Cigarette Sweet.
Yes. Actually, that one, I was going to mention that one, actually. I haven't written that one down. I was listening to that one earlier on there, and that actually does spark a memory there, because I remember we used to call them here in the Northeast, we used to call them candy tabs, You could get candy tabs, but then you could have chocolate cigarettes. So I could, a lot of people, when they hear that song, they're gonna really, pick that up and spark a memory in the head there.
I hope so, because it's I feel like it's one of my best songs. It's not glitz and glam. It's nothing like overwhelming production wise. It's just I played it to my nan, who, is, she's 90 something now,
Wow.
she's maybe not in the best place mentally as maybe she was back in the day, but to watch her just zone in and just forget everything that's going on in the room, and she got emotional, and it is a harder song because I know other people have played it to their elderly relatives as well, and it has ended up with tears and things like. And it is because it's that sheer moment of like, oh, do you remember how good we had it when we were young before all the heaviness of adulthood, and that metaphor is literally just like, as a kid, you'd be playing with these toy cigarettes, and if it was cold, like the cold air coming out, and you thought you were so cool.
You did.
And then I was sat in Australia with Russell, and like we were outside the venue a few times, and he sat on the step and he's smoking a cigarette, and I'm pulling on my like sugar flavored USB stick, and I'm sat there going like, oh, remember when it was just like sweets, and we didn't have the nicotine weighing over your shoulders.
That's right.
And adulthood and whatever, and it was I think it's written from an innocent place at least, and I hope people listen to it because I do feel like that one will take you somewhere.
Definitely will. It definitely will. Now, the vinyl revival is here. So I must ask you, what was the first vinyl record you ever bought, and what record would you play me as your favourite if there was a record player beside you?
Oh gosh, the first records I got were a gift, and they were from my dad and his record collection, and then the second time was my mum's record collection. And unfortunately, somebody had nicked all my dad's cool stuff. And he was just kind of like, not that he didn't like what he had, but it was like, we had Bananarama, which banging, and they must have forgot about it, but we had the Bee Gees.
Right.
And we had, now that's what I call music, but it was like for the 70s, and, big hitters on there. We had some Rod Stewart. And then my mom's record collection was, like Tears for Fears, and a lot of Rod Stewart, God bless Mum. Adam Ant as well.
Oh, wow, yes. Like him.
Mum was on a wee bit of an alt kick, which I didn't know about. And then in that as well, you had my grandfather's country records. And it was quite an eclectic mix. And then with my first ever paycheck, for the M&S ads, if you remember them, the first thing I did was I went and I got this record player that was like in a case, and I didn't know myself. I'd wanted this for years, and I finally got it. And I was like, that was the moment I realized I get more joy spending money on others than I do on myself, because that was gone in like 10 seconds. I was like, okay, never again. You want something for so long and you get it and you're like, oh, that's it now.
That's right. Put it in the corner.
But that was the first thing I spent my first ever paycheck on, was a record player. And I think the first record I bought for that myself was the Fleet Foxes, their big album, whichever one it was.
Right.
That was the one I bought,
And what track would you play from that album?
I can't remember the name of it, but it starts with like a cappella, like, I was following me, and then there's harmony and harmony and harmony and harmony, and it's a beautiful song, if I could remember.
We'll have to Shazam it, and then we'll find out what it is.
Yeah.
I'll use your vocal in order to
Don't
find
think that'll work now, but we'll see.
That's a great choice there. Excellent. Now, are you going to be having time off over Christmas, Janet, after all of this glitz and glamour that's going on?
I hope so. No, Christmas normally is the year where me and my manager, we look each other in the eye and we say, leave me alone. Cool, I'll leave you alone if you leave me alone.
Because you've seen too much of each other.
Just because we work in each other's pockets constantly. Love my team to pieces. Kat and Rick from Sonic Music couldn't have the nicest, most best management ever. The hardest workers. And, but, it gets to Christmas time. My manager loved Christmas, right? My manager, Rick. And I'm not so much a Christmas person, but I want to get my jammies on and I just want to eat till my heart can't take it anymore,
Yeah.
So
why not?
We part ways, and then we'll Merry Christmas text, Happy New Year text,
Yeah.
And then I normally come back about a week after New Year's. So yeah, and it's always the best time. So that'll be that. There might be a gig or two over the festive season, but I
Right.
don't think that counts as work. That's just crack, you know.
Yeah. It's just a nice bit of crack going on there, and why not?
Something to do.
You've got to do it. Definitely, definitely. Now, where can listeners follow you and buy your music?
Well, the best place to go is janetdevlin.com. And then on there is a link to all my socials, depending on which one you use. And yeah, on that website, as well as my store. And you've access to all the fun coloured merchandise and vinyls and everything signed. So, but you can also get that stuff on Amazon. But yeah.
Yeah, but maybe not signed. You need to get a signed one.
And not the fun colours. You can't get a baby pink vinyl on Amazon.
Wow, well, I'll tell you what it is. It would be nice to have a little one of those for vinyl revival, Phil Wilson's vinyl revival, if that can be organised, Janet.
Send us an email. You know what? Whoever you were talking to is the more organised person. I'll forget.
Right.
But the adults will remember.
Right, okay, that would be excellent. Yes, would love to play Emotional Rodeo, some tracks from that album on that other show. Now, you're not going to believe this, Janet. I know that you've got to rush off, and I know that we like to talk. We could probably talk for hours on end, Janet. But yes,
I did warn you.
Yes, I'm the same. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, so it just leaves me to say thank you so much, Janet Devlin, for joining me on the show. It's been such a wonderful time talking to you. And would you like to come on the show again, or have I frightened you away?
Oh my gosh, I'd love to come on. Yeah, have me back. I'll definitely be back. And I apologize again. I'm in Dublin, and the hotel is. I'm in the dark part of it because it's the only quiet bit.
Excellent. And yes, if you stick around for a moment, but before that, finally, Janet, could you please introduce your new single, Best in You, taken from the brand new, superb album, Emotional Rodeo?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Janet Devlin, and this is my latest single, Best Life.
Thank you so much for joining me on the show. And I'd like to wish you a very Merry Christmas and all the best in 2025. And I'll look forward to speaking to you again next year.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
All the best.
Thank you so much. Have a great one.